Welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. We're all the way up to episode number 19. I'm Spitz, joined as always by my good buddy John. I ate too much Masoni this time. Hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas. Yeah, well, that tends to happen this time of year, and I am no exception to that rule either. I had plenty to eat. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, day after, leftover honey baked ham, all kinds of good stuff. How'd you do, John?
Listen, we start off with the Italian Christmas Eve with the Feast of the Seven Fishes. And we go from there. It's hard because starting with that's probably my favorite, maybe my favorite holiday meal. So going from that to Christmas Day to the following day where we had some other festivities going on and some dinners out, you name it. It just seemed like it was endless until about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon when I was no longer able to put any more food in my mouth. So it was, but again, it's the holidays. It's expected. Probably the worst thing is that it's also right after football season where you carb everything up. You're grabbing things on the go, no matter what you're doing, you're somewhere around the line. You're eating something that's probably not the best choice. So yeah, New Year's resolutions are pretty easy for me. Stop eating.
Yeah, there you go. All right, the 941 Sports Zone, before we get underway, presented as always by our good friends at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. That's Mighty Dog Roofing for those of you who speak English. Locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. Give them a call at 941-251-4257. Again, 941-251-4257. Big thanks to Venice Indians head coach of football John Peacock for joining us last week, as he will be forever known as, when he comes in, we're going to have him do his little moniker as John Moneyline Peacock. And we're going to talk about those games, those college football quarterfinals that are rapidly approaching. We've had a couple of the more minor bowl games go on so far. The one that kind of sticks out to me is the Pop-Tart Bowl from Saturday. And again, they've done a tremendous job of marketing, and they've managed to position themselves where they get a pretty darn good matchup every year now too.
Yes, and it's sort of become a marquee matchup outside of the actual playoffs themselves. Yet you had a team in BYU that was a fringe playoff team as it was. Georgia Tech, that arguably between them and Miami, the best team in the ACC. Obviously they didn't win the games they needed to win in order to get the tiebreakers and yada yada yada, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So you have Duke as the ACC champion, but Georgia Tech, very good season. And for a long time there, Georgia Tech sort of played the let's be an option team sort of situation, somewhat mimicking what the academies do. But now they're straight up. They don't play that game anymore. They run RPOs. They got a quarterback who can throw and run, athletes all over the field. So Georgia Tech is a fast track team. I would probably say, Rich, depending on, I know there's been a couple of little blemishes to them offseason wise, losing their offensive coordinator to my Florida Gators, and maybe losing a quarterback as well in the process of the portal. We'll see. But I would say, based on the coaching in the last 2 years, they have to be one of the two favorites to win the ACC next year.
Don't think there's any question about that. By the way, Georgia Tech replaced Notre Dame, who decided to have no fun at all. They certainly couldn't have gone to the Pop-Tarts Bowl because that would have been way too much fun for them. Penn State gets a bowl win. I think that's a very nice win for them over Clemson. And the folks down in South Carolina are none too pleased. They want to send Dabo out on the next train.
Well, I'm going to go back a few weeks, maybe 7 weeks or so. And I had said that Dabo was done in Clemson. I thought that the coaching search for Florida should have started with Dabo's agent. You want to have a guy who's been there, done that, especially when you've seen the last four. Failure is a hard word to say, but the ones that maybe not the best coaches for the job kind of situation, and a guy who's one of the only three coaches that is active that has a national championship. And so you say, why would you not go there? Because this is the writings on the wall. It started with him not wanting to do the portal stuff, the business of him saying he didn't want to be involved with that. He wanted to build his team through recruiting and whatnot. And the idea that he's always had a little bit of a love affair with the SEC, although he doesn't say it too much because he's an ACC guy and he's done very well there. But and Alabama being his maybe school of choice. So I thought there would be a chance to pluck him off there. And right now with the loss to Penn State, if you would have said that was a bowl matchup on week 1, you would have said it would be a bowl matchup in the playoffs. Okay.
I think a lot of people had those two teams.
Yeah. And Penn State, they didn't come out great. They got rid of their coach early. I think there was a malaise, kind of felt bad for themselves. And then they realized, hey, we got nothing to go. Some guys are saying this is my last chance to play football. Let's go do this. And what they finished with a 5-game winning streak. And Penn State did. So if you look at it from all those perspectives, not surprising. But when you're a Clemson, you don't want to be 6-7 or 7-6 or whatever they finished, because your expectations are higher than that. So I get it. Where would he go at this point? I don't think anywhere. I think he'll be there next year. And then if it doesn't look good early on, there'll be a step down, and they'll get somebody else in there. Again, who we don't know.
Yeah. Army wins another bowl game. It's interesting. They said Army's, Jeff Monk and their coach is now 6-1 in bowl games. And my only thing with that, and I think it's great, and I think the fact that they take the bowl game seriously, but when was the last time somebody opted out at Army? They're literally one of the few teams that go to a bowl game with their entire squad intact.
Right. And that's the truth. And by the way, I did say before about Georgia Tech doing running off like the academies before. Well, these academies now are not running just a pure option offense. Army throws the ball downfield. They stretch the field, and what a difference it makes. I think the fact that Army, Navy, Air Force have all gotten better is because they do stretch the field a little bit when it comes to certain things. You just can't throw 10 guys up at the line of scrimmage and mano a mano, and here we go. Army can do some things, and so can Navy. The games are tight; they're always tough. But boy, was that a good-looking Army football team in that bowl game? They did a great job.
At the Wasabi Bowl in Fenway Park.
Yes, the Fenway Wasabi Bowl, or Wasabi
really
Bowl.
Funny. Yes, exactly. And Houston with a nice win over LSU. Obviously, Lane Kiffin's, going to have a completely different squad there. They had a lot of guys opt out. The one game I thought was interesting, North Texas won their bowl game, and I think it was the New Mexico Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. They beat San Diego State 49-47. I think both teams just scored again. But I thought it was real interesting. Everybody from North Texas State went to the bowl game, and now they have 43 guys in the portal. 43.
Yeah, crazy. Well, the coach is leaving.
And that means they could go. Yep.
Right. So they all go, and quite honestly, it's to be expected from a team that is because a good I draw like the 6 other conferences, not the Power 4.
AAC, the group of 6. Yeah,
group of 6, right? Group of 6. That's the vernacular I'm looking for. But anyway, that group of 6. If you're playing at North Texas and you're a top 25 team or thereabouts, they kind of waffle back and forth, but they were close to being a conference champion as well. There's a lot of good players on that team, and the coach is gone, and there's money to be had. They're all scrambling for the portal. But I will say this, again, from experience and watching this all happen, they left in droves after a couple weeks after the hire of Summerall at Florida. But they're going back now because they're like, no, let's talk about this. Here's what we can offer you. Here's what we can do. Do you like it here? Yes, I do. So same things that happened in North Texas. There might be 43 guys in the portal. Will all 43 leave? No. My guess is probably 20 will leave. And you'll see others come back because they're not going to make a lateral move. This is all an opportunity to go and say, hey, Michigan, Utah, whoever it may be. I'm over here now. My film, I'm a pretty good, strong safety, and I got a year left, and I'd like to make $350,000. Boom.
Yeah.
And if
There you go.
they're not out there, they'll come back to North Texas and say, hey guys, I know I may have upset you, but I'm sorry about that. And and what can you give me? So I think that's what'll happen.
Speaking of Michigan and Utah, Michigan hired former Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham to be their next head coach. Not a Michigan man per se, but a no-nonsense guy. And I think the right guy to clean that program up because it needs a complete flush.
I am very surprised by this move.
I am too.
I thought that he was done, and I thought and good. I always liked the fact that he went to Utah, and you always talk about why wouldn't you stay for 25 years somewhere if you got a good gig? Well, he did. He had a great gig, and if you've ever been to the Utah in that area, it's a beautiful place to live. It's they got a great fan base. I mean, they take their football serious there. And he leaves, and he resigns, and that's enough time for him. He's 66 years old and going to go. He takes on that job. Let me tell you something. That job right now is a shit show. There's nothing more I can say other than that, because it's not just the coach. It's the entire athletic department. It's administration at all levels that have to answer to a lot of questions that are going to come up in the next little bit. Now, maybe he can just avoid all that muckety muck and go out and coach. More power to him if he can, but it doesn't make it any easier with who's all the accusations and different things. Maybe he will be the guy they can lean on and say, clean it out. We'll trust you with the football team while we're cleaning out this disgusting garbage that we have left over here right now. So the idea is that they got it's surprising he did it because he was such a sort of staunch loyalist to Utah, and to go back and to take on something that's so hard there's going to be talent there. Don't get me wrong, but I think everything that's going on behind the scenes, it's hard to avoid. It really is.
Yeah, no question about it. And it'll be interesting to see how long that internal investigation takes at Michigan and what comes of it. A lot of people are lauding Ward Manuel, the athletic director, for hiring Whittingham.
Yeah.
I don't think personally, if you really want to clean house, he's got to go, but he's a Michigan guy. And, I'll be very interested to see how this turns out.
If somehow or another they pull the old, we did our own investigation, this is an internal scenario, we're okay, and that poor young lady, she, we'll take care of her and this and that, and often we go Michigan. If that's what they do, if that's what they do, then they're the poster child for what's wrong with college football.
Yep.
Because for them, if they're going to wrap themselves in their old glory, if you want to call it whatever, however they feel about themselves, and not address the situation as it is. You had a head coach, break into a home of a female and threaten to kill himself with a butter knife. Okay. Now, the idea that he be that deranged to want to kill himself is sad and it's very upsetting. But the manner in which it happened, the theatrics of it all tells me that this person was never on the right page. And you're hearing these little quibbly stories about him fighting with coaches and saying you don't understand how hard it is and this and that. You didn't know that guy was that guy before this? Why? Because Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, Harbaugh's handpicked successor. Sorry.
Well, what does that tell you about what was going on before that?
Yeah, we already know.
This one big scandal is bigger than the scandal they had when they were putting people in
disguises.
Yeah, to go to other games. This is not like a one-off kind of thing. And guy just lost his mind in a drunken rage. He's got real issues, and he was the head football coach at Michigan.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the games on the field. We've got, I think, four pretty good matchups in the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. It starts on New Year's Eve, the Cotton Bowl at Juris Place, as number 2 Ohio State welcomes number 10 Miami, who, of course, beat Texas Tech in the first game. That number has come down ever so slightly. It opened at 10, got to 10.5 for a minute. It's now 9.5. Ohio State is favored. I've really had a chance to look deep into this game. And the one thing that concerns me if I'm Miami is how I'm going to score. Texas A&M was a defense that gave up over 24 points a game during the regular season. Miami, with former New England defensive coordinator Matt Patricia, I should say Ohio State with Matt Patricia, has been giving up about 11 points a game, and their defense has been absolutely ferocious. They held Indiana, who obviously scored points throughout the year, did 13 points in the Big Ten championship game. I know they ended up losing, but I look at this game and, it's going to be incumbent on Miami to maybe score off a turnover, score off special teams in order to stay in this game. What say you, John?
I think if I'm looking at this game, I think it's going to be similar to the game that against Texas A&M and Miami was, and similar to the Big Ten championship, which was Indiana, Ohio State. Okay, both low-scoring games, both very close, coming down to the wire situation. I'll say this: the key player in this matchup is Carson Beck. Okay,
Yep.
I've been down on him as the transfer he was. I don't think he had a great year. I'm not really sold on him as a consistent producer on the field. But if he can get the ball downfield against Ohio State and get chunk plays, I think Miami's got a chance to score at least in the 20s. Now, the flip side of that is Miami's defense. That defensive line is so athletic. You got a freshman quarterback in there, and at Ohio State, and I don't know if he's going to see more pressure than he'll see in this game. I know that Indiana did a good job as well, but Miami just brings them in waves, and there's something to be said about that. I'm not convinced that Ohio State's running game is that great either at this point.
No, it's not.
So I know it's going to come down to the big receiver Smith and what he can do, but he's one man, and Miami is a swarm on that defense right now. They have been consistently very, very good at defense all year long. That has not been a waiver for them at all. I think that's the reason why, and that's why my postponed lock of the week, which was Miami plus 10, which I guess is about 9.5 now, but
9.5, yeah.
But I think that's the reasons why, because the defense is so good. Freshman quarterback, and if you get freshman quarterback versus senior quarterback, you want to take the senior, but we'll have to see. We'll see if Beck can be the guy that he says he is.
Well, I think there's two keys to this game. Can Ohio State run the football? And like you said, they have not run the football very well all year, although they do have a running back named Bo Jackson.
Yes,
and actually, he's probably their best back, though. He's their most dynamic back, and they've been giving him the ball more and more. And Ohio State's just going to have to commit to it. The other thing is in the Big Ten championship game and in the first round, both teams' kickers really struggled. Now, Texas A&M, we had a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind, the Miami kicker gets a little bit of a pass on that. But both teams, the team that is going to have to score in the red zone, and by score I mean not just touchdowns, but field goals. I think points are going to be at a premium in this game. Yep. That's why I too will take the 9.5. I think this game is very close. I think it's a one-score game. Miami's going to have to get creative. They've got to get Tony the ball. I think that's, you talked about Smith. I think Miami's got to get Tony the ball. They're freshmen. And he was dynamic, especially on that last drive. And, that last drive of the Texas A&M game, he scored the only touchdown. He is lightning in a bottle. So I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I know those are not your favorite, John. I know a couple of games this year have been
it can be a little, but I think when there's something on the line, really on the line, it kind of makes it a little. It's like you don't want to go to a baseball game in May and see a 1-0 2-hitter. Okay, you don't mind going when it's the World Series and it becomes historic. So that's kind of the difference from a viewership perspective. I'd love to look real quick. The game last night, the Niners and the Bears.
Oh yeah.
That's entertainment. That's close, kind of thing. So no doubt, but we'll see what happens. Uh, wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State won, but I just don't think they're going to win by a lot if they do.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with
you.
you.
I actually think Miami's going to win the game, my personal opinion. But I think that I wouldn't be surprised though, because again, I think it's closer than the number, which is why I think the number is a good one to take.
Yep. All right, and then we have 3 games on New Year's Day. This is going to be odd, watching the Orange Bowl in broad daylight. Although I guess Florida State and Georgia won the 63-3 game a few years ago. That game was, like at 3:30 in the afternoon. This is going to be at high noon, and you mentioned the weather could be a little bit of a factor. The wind could be a little bit of a factor, although the conditions should be ideal in South Florida, upper 60s, low 70s. Oregon and Texas Tech. It's a 4-5 matchup, and it's as close as, this is by far the closest spread. Oregon is favored. The number's gone up. It's now 2.5 against the Red Raiders. That doesn't change my theory. I think Oregon is an excellent football team. I just think, take what you got in the first half, not the second half of their game against James Madison.
Right.
But Texas Tech has been undersold all year long, and they're being undersold again. I like the Red Raiders in a close game here. I think their defense is tremendous. I have some questions about their quarterback, but he's done what he's had to do, and they can run the football as well. This is quite a game.
There's no doubt about it. I will say this is the game that last week when we had Coach Peacock on, nobody wanted to take that game. It's that close, and there's going to be some interesting sort of dynamics. Can Texas Tech's defense slow down the Oregon offense? And right. I mean slow down. I don't mean not let them score. I'm talking like not let them score in 5 seconds. That sort of explosiveness that the Oregon offense has.
Right.
I will say this, that you're right. Quarterback versus quarterback. Obviously, if you're an NFL scout, you like Dante Moore more than you like the quarterback from Texas A&M. However, Texas Tech, I should say. But it's going to be a very interesting football game. Jet lag or coming across country. That's they're
already there. I am not even worried about that.
Yeah, but it's still hard to get used to that a little bit. But Oregon coming from a cool climate, it might be muggy down there in Miami, because when we get cold fronts, they usually don't make it through to Miami. You get weird rainstorms down there when we're not getting rain, and could be a little humid. So we'll see how that all plays out. Maybe a fan or two on the sideline. I will say this. It should be Oregon to win this football game. Mm-hmm. And I say that because of experience, of being in these moments before. Dan Lanning as an assistant coach as well. I will say this, that a little bit of the shiny new car feel that Dan Lanning has about how well he's doing. If he loses this game, I could see there sort of being a little bit of like, well, maybe he's not all he's out to be. I'm not saying that's fair, but I think that there's expectations that Dan Lanning should be winning these games. It'll also be a situation where if Ohio State and Oregon both lose, and Indiana with a tough game against Alabama, it might be a bad weekend for the Big Ten if what we're saying happens in some of these games.
Yeah. One good thing for Oregon, and they got some of them back, and the rest come back this week. They're getting all their wide receivers that got hurt in the preseason and early in the regular season back, and that gives them more weapons. That's certainly something to be concerned about. But I think Baron Morton, I think he's battle tested, and the quarterback for Texas Tech, and I think this is going to be quite the slugfest. If it's wide open, I favor Oregon. Texas Tech's got to muddy the game a little bit, in my opinion.
If it's wide open, that means that tough defense that Texas Tech has is not performing, and I think that's what they've hung their hat on a little bit. They've managed to keep teams kind of down points wise, and then that offense kind of chug along with be able to game plan easier or call plays easier when you kind of know your defense is going to bail you out if they have to.
All right, then we go to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. There's already been one major upset in this game. They got the Rose Bowl to come off of their traditional 2 p.m. Pacific time start time to 1 p.m. Pacific time. Rose Bowl doesn't change anything, but apparently the college football playoff said, look, and to keep these 3 games and to get them get the Sugar Bowl over by 1 a.m., we have to move this back a little bit. So 4 o'clock Eastern for Alabama, the 9 seed, and Indiana, the 1 seed. This line, too, has come down slightly. It opened 7.5. Indiana is now favored by 6.5. Still a lot of doubters out there. Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, of course, the quarterback of Indiana. Alabama, of course, was dead in the water, 17-0 in their opening game, and managed to get things together against Oklahoma. But let's make no mistake, to go down 17-0 in this game, in my opinion, they're not coming back because Indiana is not Oklahoma.
No, and I think what you saw against Ohio State and in other games where they've had they laid it to Oregon pretty good. The classic comeback against Penn State, or they at the end of the game. So they've been tested this year in multiple different ways. So yeah, I can't imagine that you would be if you're Indiana that's facing Alabama, or at least this version of Alabama should be something you'd be shaking in your boots over. But it is going to be you're playing a good team, and it is a bigger stage, and it's a big stage, and that very hallowed place such as the Rose Bowl. Interesting to see how it's going to play out. I'm very curious about this game. I know where I would like to. I'd lay my money in this game, but I'm still interested. I'm going to watch it with a very sort of neutral view of it, if that makes any sense. I think that Indiana wins the football game because I don't think this is the best version of Alabama, and I don't care what anybody says. Every job that came up that had any significance to it, Kalen DeBoer's name was attached to it.
That's not an accident.
About that, it's not. I said where there's smoke. This is not smoke. This is like multiple smoke fires somewhere that this is all happening. And so I like Indiana based on what they did this year, based on the battle tested this year as well. And Alabama is not the best. This is not the best version of Alabama that we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years. So I think Indiana will win the game, but I'm very interested to see this game, to see how it plays out. How it plays out with Indiana and their first real. I mean, now this is a one hell of a matchup for them to take on in the first round of the playoffs for them. So
yeah, and let's be real. Let's be real, John. It still is Alabama. It still is the script A. And even though Indiana's the top team in the country, there has to be a little bit of nerves.
I would think I think there's no doubt about that. There are players on Alabama, seniors that have been here for 4 years of this. Mm-hmm. They've traveled with the team, they played with the team. Whatever you want to say, they're around it. This is where they're supposed to be. Indiana is the newcomer, and for as good as they've played, sometimes that has an effect on your psyche. Not early in the game, not in the locker room, but like the third quarter, and you've given them your best punch, and you're down 3, and it's Alabama, and that running back, that may not be Mark Ingram, or that may not be Derrick Henry, but man, it sort of looks like him. He's got the same number or the same. You start seeing ghosts. You start seeing things that you don't want to see. I will say this: Cignetti is cocky. So he may be the guy to say, "What are you afraid of?" Come on, let's go. He's got some moxie to him. So
yes, he does.
So that's why
I like it. By the way, I like his moxie.
Well, listen. If you're going to be there and you're going to win, you got to have that feeling to win. I don't care what level it is. You see high school coaches, and it's like you can say, "Oh, I got this." No, you better say it, back it, and believe it. Mm-hmm. And when the kids start to hear it and believe it, then that's where that's when the program can flip. That's when Indiana goes from being a nice 2 to 3 year story to a 10-year, 20-year role. Because understand something, we talk about college football a lot. There's a lot of teams and fan bases that are not in the top 20, 25 who have had 20, 25-year runs and are waiting to come back to and expect to be there. Indiana hasn't got to that point. He's got to burn that into their soul and into the program and into the fan base that this is what you do. This is how it goes. We're Indiana, and we're going to be good for a long time.
And the ball's not orange and round.
Exactly.
Listen,
True.
it's a culture change. It really is, and he's done a very nice job. And I, like you, am very interested over the next 3 to 5 years. Can they sustain it? Because they got a lot of their players from the portal, and they got a lot of players from James Madison, from where he came from. So that's big. So
What they can't
the
do,
Sugar Bowl. Go ahead.
what they can't do, Rich, is win a national championship or have a good run and then go 8-4 next year, which is fine, and have the fan base be like not show up for the
Right.
For the games. No, it's not. That's not how it works, because you can win a national championship after being 8-4 or before being 8, whatever you want to say it. Just got to maintain that the program needs the support, and it's not always going to be a clear path to a championship.
All right. I was kind of premature. Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, or rematch of a tremendous game in the regular season. 6th seeded Ole Miss and number 3 Georgia. Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite in that game. They were an 8-point favorite in the regular season game, and had to outscore Ole Miss 17-0 in the fourth quarter to win and cover. And obviously this is we kind of talked about this last week, but we kind of buried the lead. Another $250,000 game for Lane Kiffin as he watches in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
Ole Miss was very impressive. They were the one favorite out of the 4 that took care of business. I mean, Oregon did too, but they allowed the back door to be left open. Ole Miss left no doubt against Tulane. They beat them just as bad as they did in the regular season, and I'm sure the kids are licking their chops for another shot at Kirby's smart squad.
Oh, no doubt about it. SEC Network and different people at different times were showing replays of games from this past season, a few of Georgia games, a few Ole Miss games, and just skimming the channel surfing, and you kind of see something. I can tell you this, that Ole Miss was a better football team than Georgia for probably all but one quarter of the season.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. One quarter of the season, like one quarter of a game into the season. The last quarter of the game against Georgia Ole Miss, Georgia came back to win that football game. Okay. Ole Miss has had a better year than Georgia. Now the records are records. That's who you are, right? But if you're looking at this game and looking at it prospectively about how Ole Miss played better all year, okay, and that tells me something about Ole Miss, that they've got a dynamic quarterback who can run the football. Quarterback versus quarterback, who's better? The Chambliss kid from
Chambliss, yep.
He's better, okay, than Gunnar Stockton. All right. Running back to running back. No, it's not close. They got better running backs. They've got 9 receivers. They just bring guys on the field and they waves 4, 7, 8 guys out there. The only difference right now from where they were before is that Lane Kiffin is in Baton Rouge watching the game. Okay. I think that Charlie Weis Jr. is going to call a great game. I think the defense is going to be challenged with Georgia, because Georgia sort of imposes their will, so to speak. But I like Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss in this game.
Big question here, and I think he's going to be ready, but Kewan Lacey did get banged up, the running back for Ole Miss in the first game against Tulane. He needs to be 100%. And the Ole Miss defense is going to have to find a way to calm down Gunnar Stockton. And I know you say, Chambliss is better and numbers wise, and I think he's more dynamic, but the last half of the year, Stockton has done a nice job running that offense, and Kirby's got the defense playing a little better. This is a slobber. This is a true SEC battle. The winner is going to definitely take a couple of hits and be ready to play in the semifinal. I like Georgia to win the game, but I also like Ole Miss getting the 6.5. I think this is a 1-score game.
Yeah, I do too. I like how Ole Miss played all year. They've had some experience now of being how many couple 10-win seasons in a row. And so, I mean, Ole Miss deserves to be there. This is not a fluky kind of situation for them.
Their only loss was to Georgia.
That's it. So I think there's something to be said about beating someone twice. And now this is a neutral site game as well.
Yes.
That makes a big difference.
Tough. And the Sugar Bowl, that is an SEC bowl. That place will be packed to the rafters. Both sides will be well represented in that game.
Absolutely. That's going to be unbelievable. I mean, I'll say this. In the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl should have no complaints about the games that they got.
No.
Traditionally, they said about the Rose Bowl, they should have moved that game to 8:00 in the morning, and that had a problem with it because right in the middle of the Rose Parade, because they should that game is going to be I think they're all going to be well attended, and I think those games could turn into classics.
I got a question for you. A lot of people are pushing for the Rose Bowl to be the permanent home of the college football playoff national championship. Are you in that corner, or you like the rotation?
So I'll say this to you. I think that if you really want to make it fair, if you want to, then you have to regionalize this round of the playoffs. Okay. Mm-hmm. Put them in different regions or whatever it may be. We just said how many people are going to go to the Sugar Bowl, right? Because why? Because it's right down the street from Georgia, and Ole Miss is really close, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to have that. So I think representation. I think there's no more storied stadium or site than the Rose Bowl, right? And I think that since you've ruined the fact that there would be the Pac-10 and the Big 12, or the Big 10 and Pac-12 and Big 10. Let me get it right there.
Right.
If that doesn't exist anymore, then right. I would think that would be fair that the Rose Bowl should be represented every year in this round.
But I'm talking about for the championship itself.
Oh, I mean for
the last game. The last game's in Miami this year.
No,
you don't think so? You're not in that corner that it should be there.
No, I mean, okay.
That's what I wanted to know.
I like the Rose Bowl, but I think that there's something to spreading it around. Super Bowl, if it's gonna be that caliber, Super Bowl every year in the same place would be, there's something to that. So I think no. I think being where they're at right now, then that rotate is fine by me.
All right. Nice way to segue there. You talk Super Bowl. We're going to talk NFL in a second. But again, a reminder that the 941 Sports Zone is presented by the good folks at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. 941-251-4257 is the number. They are locally owned, but they are nationally backed. So they got plenty of materials and money. They deliver exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast, as always, up and down the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257. Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. And tell them that the 941 Sports Zone sent you, all right?
There you go.
All right, here we are, NFL. And we've got to start with the dumpster fire that is at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. The Bucs down to Miami. Chance to get things right. They're playing Quinn freaking Ewers at quarterback, and they made him look like Dan Marino, especially in the first half. Baker Mayfield, 2 more very costly interceptions. One was not his fault. It was a receiver who wanted to play hot potato, but the second one in the double coverage, down at the 10-yard. You can't do that. And then the fumble late. Bucs lose 20-17. They have now turned 6-2 into 7-9, and yet with Seattle beating Carolina 27-10, it gives them hope of winning the NFC South. There is a little fly in the ointment. Atlanta's got to lose one of their next 2 games, and they play, as we're recording, they'll play in about 6 hours tonight in Atlanta against the Rams, who no longer have a division to play for.
Right.
So some interesting dynamics in play here, but what has happened at One Buck Place? Just it's an unbelievable. The Bucs are going to try to become the first team since the merger to lose 7 of 8 at one point in the season and win the division.
I've been saying Todd, a lot about the Buccaneers, but I will now say Todd Baker, because Baker has become part of the problem.
Yes.
This is Baker. Okay, you get this is the good and bad. It's like he's kind of like a kid who wants to open his presents on Christmas Eve. He's so super excited about making a play or whatever it may be. The second interception, like you said, they were the analysts in the game try to explain why he misread the play, because he saw the safety flip his hips to go towards the middle of the field, and when he did, he figured he had plenty of time to get it back over to was it Evans he threw it to in that one, or Godwin?
I thought it was Ibuka.
Okay, maybe it was, but even with that, he read it and he rushed it, and it was a downfield throw that needed a little more oomph on it. It wasn't even. I mean, the safety Davis was standing there waiting for it. It wasn't even he over anticipated something, because that's sort of how he gets. He gets a little ahead of himself. He's a little over his skis when certain things happen. I mean, for as bad as that play was, it was a little later in the game, or when he was going to get sacked on a fourth down play, and the guy flings him off his back like he wasn't even there. The guy's got amazing talent and amazing. I guess you would say he's just
elusiveness.
He's just a guy who he's a will to win kind of guy, but he's got to play in his wheelhouse. He gets a little out there with certain things, and it causes him to lose. When there's chances to win games, he's part of the cause. However, I will say that again, hard to make Quinn Ewers look like as good as he did, and that was Buccaneers defense right there. And I'm watching like the Hassan Reddicks of the world and all these different guys. They're not doing anything. Yeah. They're not making a difference at all. The D line has been
the front seven's terrible.
Failure. Really not very good.
And the back half's not much better. It's just it's a total team effort. No question about it.
Yes.
Interesting to note, a lot of people the Fire Bowls, hashtag is blowing up X. Ian Rappaport, very well-known, very well-respected reporter, is reporting that apparently Todd Bowles is safe. And the reason why he's safe is at the beginning of the year, actually before the season started, he signed a 3-year extension that actually doesn't start until next season. And so, if you're a Bucs fan, such as I was like, what? So we may have more of Todd Bowles than I think a lot of people want at this point.
I think that the idea of Bruce Arians being the coach was not just because but it was to give Todd Bowles a reclamation project, and so he could be the guy going forward for a number of years. And I don't think that the Buccaneers are ready to give up on him, because they've seen some of the success. His record now is 34-33 as a head coach with the Buccaneers, right? And that's
I believe so. You're correct.
Yeah. And so you look at that and you say, is that great? No. Is it better than he was when they were with the Jets? Yes. But it's
4 straight division titles. That's what he hangs his hat on.
Right. It looks the same though. It looks the same. If you look at it from, like even early in the year, the getting Ibuka and having this stocked up receiving core, man, I don't think Evans is much longer for playing, and neither is Godwin. And now you're going to be in a situation where maybe you don't have that guy. Wirfs has been hurt off and on all year.
Didn't play. I thought that was big yesterday, Sunday. They couldn't run the football.
Huge. Yes. Is Bucky Irving a great runner? Rashad White was the guy before. He's not the guy you want. So now all the things that sort of you leaned a little towards the positive on those guys, and with a hoping they're going to go up a little bit, and now they're on the other side and they're going down a little bit. And so this is not going to be an anomaly. I think you're going to look at there's going to be some real interesting situations with the personnel for the Buccaneers as well. So personnel, coaching, there's a lot of question marks going into the end of this last game, and then into as far as everything else goes into the future for the Buccaneers.
And of course, they came out with the schedule, the Week 18 schedule. The most important games get primetime slots. Buccaneers and Panthers will play a day early. They'll play on Saturday, 4:30, Raymond James Stadium. I guess the one thing that if you're a Bucs fan and you want to see a change, there's a couple of things. One, I went on the Ticketmaster website to see, what kind of tickets are left and how much you can get a ticket. Now, this is listen, it's 8-8 against 7-9. All right. Let's be real. It's still a division title game. You can get tickets for under $100 today. Under $100, $97.
That's cheaper than a college football game.
Yep.
And for a big game, that's way cheaper.
And listen, that's where the fan can talk. And I'm not telling you to burn your tickets, and I'm not telling you to sit on your tickets. But if we get to a situation Saturday at 4:30 in the stadium, especially if the weather's nice, the stadium's half full, that's the stuff that speaks volumes. That'll get the Glazers' attention. Oh, right. We're losing gate. And you can't look at the total attendance. You got to look at what's in house and the concessions and things of that nature. And I think that's where I think Todd Bowles can be in a little bit of trouble. But that is a lot of money to eat for the Glazers, and they normally don't like to do that. They did it with Gruden. He had a big contract, but they more often than not they don't do that.
Two coordinators, offensive coordinators. One guy's going to be on the other side of the field from Todd Bowles on Sunday.
Correct.
Another one is winning the division in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And they're both on the rise. And you have your head coach and your staff now that have been on a 1-7 run to end the season. And so you got to look at that as well, because the fan base knows that they look at those kind of things as well. So it can be, you're right, you said, complacency is terrible.
Yes.
But is complacency or not showing up at all and basically, just sort of walking away from the situation is even worse. And if that does happen, you're right. There'll be something to be said. You talk about the Glazers, though, about looking at losing money. Todd Bowles will be a lot of money to lose as well in that situation. Yeah. So we'll have to see. They've
got some decisions to make. There's no question about it. The Chicago Bears, let's congratulate them. They are winners of the NFC North despite the 42-38 loss last night to San Francisco in a wildly entertaining game. The reason they are division champs is because in the backup bowl, which was a Peacock exclusive, boy, I'm sure they were excited about that, huh?
Yeah.
They wanted Jackson against Lowe, and they get Love. I'm sorry, Jackson against Jordan Love, and they get Todd Huntley against Malik
Davis. Malik
Willis, and in the end, Willis gets hurt as well. But Baltimore. John Harbaugh might have saved his season by accident because he's got a backup quarterback. So what does he do? He does exactly what he didn't do the week before. He leans on Derrick Henry and voila, 4 touchdowns and 41 points. Sometimes coaches just step in it.
It's funny that you say that because you start to lean towards, what you think is the shiny penny, the fast car, whatever you want to say. And Lamar is a great player. Don't get me wrong. But Baltimore built their success around hard-nosed defense and grinding it out.
Correct.
Okay? And, I believe, like I said, looking at Lamar over the years, I think weather's affected him a little bit when these games get cold and his game doesn't maybe suit that kind of a scenario. He's a frail dude. If you compared him to other big body quarterbacks, he's not one of them. And so he's going to get beat up. And this is an attrition rate with him. It's not just what happened this year. It's what happened in the last 5 years with him.
Correct.
So you can still win with Lamar that way. You got to tell Lamar to not run the ball as much and give it to Derrick Henry a little bit more. There's so much that if I'm Pittsburgh going into this Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, I'm scared to death of that version of Baltimore. I'm scared to death of the Derrick Henry with, four touchdowns and however many yards rushing. That scares me that he's revving up for that part of the year.
Well, here's the interesting fact here. They haven't used Henry that much, John. He's fresh.
No, I know.
He's fresh for a divisional championship game. He's fresh for a playoff run. that makes them extremely dangerous. Pittsburgh should have took care of business on Sunday, but for the fourth straight year, they went to Cleveland, and for the fourth straight year, they came out with an L, a big fat L.
How many Steeler fans do you know?
I know that several family members were at the game.
Okay, so I'm telling you, if you're any kind of a sports fan, you can't not know at least 3 or 4 crazed Steeler fans. And what they will tell you is they'll say, you know what's going to happen? We're going to go to freaking Cleveland and lose. Yep. And they say it all the time, and you hear it all the time, like, nah, not this year. And what do you know? Crap. They blow it. It's some of that stadium or some whatever it may be. Cleveland is just that thorn in your shoe, whatever it is. They cannot get rid of it. And with so much on the line for that game, for that to happen, that was rough. That was just rough. I'd love to tell you, this game's going to be such a good game. I mean, because it's got all the makings of a Baltimore-Pittsburgh. Just a great, tough, hard-hitting football game. I don't know what happens. Both, if Lamar's back and Rodgers is 42 and brittle. Who knows what's going to come? I think the team who wins the game is going to come out just beaten to death after that game. They're going
to face the 5 seed. They're going to face either a white hot Houston team, the Chargers, or Buffalo. And that's bad news, I think, anyway. Although Buffalo and Baltimore played that 41-40 game at the beginning of the year, and Buffalo has trouble stopping the run. But I don't think Buffalo, the way things look right now, they need both teams, Houston and the Chargers, to lose, while the Chargers probably will lose to the Broncos. I don't think Houston's losing to Indy, especially since Phillip Rivers has decided
he's done.
They're out. He's done. He gave it the old grandpa try, and I thought the last 2 games he looked very good.
I don't know,
that ill-fated pass after Liam Cohen. What did that just? This was what's bugging me way back when. And what is 3 points? Tie game, 42-yard field goal. Little's one of the best kickers in the NFL, and you go for it? I mean, what the heck?
Right. It's trying to be smarter than you need to be.
Yeah, and he got away with it.
Sometimes it's really easy. Score points. That's it. You win by 1, you win. Not by 7, not by whatever. You win the game. So that sometimes I think coaches overthink it a little too much.
Yep. So that's the Sunday night game. That's the marquee game of the day is the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. Great way to end the regular season. Houston kept their division title hopes alive by beating the Chargers 20-16. Although watching that game, the Chargers beat the Chargers. They just did everything. Herbert had a couple of key turnovers, one in the end zone. They missed the extra point with a chance to cut the lead to 3. Extra points are becoming a little bit of a problem. And whereas in Buffalo, you understand they're on their 3rd string kicker, the conditions yesterday were atrocious. They're playing inside a freaking dome stadium in LA, and you got the most accurate kicker of all time, Dicker the kicker, misses an extra point and basically puts the game out of reach, because they're not scoring twice against that Houston defense. Give the Texans credit for, they started 0-3 and 2-5, and give them credit where credit is due.
They figured out who they were.
Yes.
That's it. And they said, hey, they looked at that defense and said, you're a scary bunch of guys out here. Go play like that. And they did. And they have. And they've looked like a team you don't want to face in the playoffs. And Stroud has played very much within himself. He hasn't overdone anything, but he's been consistent. So, yeah, I think maybe the one thing is that they probably need a little bit better running game. I think it's good. I'm not sure it's great.
Right.
But I think the Texans are you don't want to see them either at this point.
No question about it. So they've still got an outside shot at the division. Jacksonville hosts Tennessee. And while that sounds like, oh, Lord, but Tennessee always gives Jacksonville a problem. If somehow Tennessee wins that game and Houston beats Indy with probably Riley Leonard at quarterback, Houston could actually become a division winner. And as dangerous as they are as a wild card, they're even more dangerous if they somehow get a home game.
You got that right.
So we'll have to wait and see on that. Denver gets the AFC West title with the Chargers loss, and they could be the number 1 overall seed by beating the Chargers on Sunday, or the unthinkable, which would be New England, who just buried your Jet. They say what you want about New England, all right? And listen, they played the easiest schedule. The winning percentage of their teams is under 40%, and that includes playing Buffalo twice. But they do what they have to do. They came out and they punched the Jets in the mouth and punched them in the mouth again, and they put that game away before the second quarter even began.
Coach versus coach. First year versus first year, okay? And you look at that game and you say to yourself, so I grant you're rolling out Brady Cook as your quarterback.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was on the roster, dude.
An average quarterback from Missouri, okay? And average in college, okay, at that point. Yep. And there's no expectation of you ever winning that football game. And so your confidence level on both sides is the scale is tipped. It would be like this, that New England's confidence is here. The Jets players are looking around. And at the end of the day, they look around and I saw headlines, Jets quit on coach, quit on whatever it may be. No, they quit on what the product is. Okay. Mm-hmm. They're part of the product, but when there is no chance, zero chance of you scoring points against a Mike Vrabel defense, what are you supposed to go out there and do? You know what I mean? I do think the defense was like, this is what we're doing. F you. I'm not doing this. I can see that, but what's the expectation? There was no expectation. You have no chance, none, zero of winning that football game, and they played like it. And again, the choice of Mike Vrabel as your head coach, I will say this, from a 1-year window, okay, when the Jets tried to hire Bill Belichick in 1990, what?
I think it was 99, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was. And they didn't. And they got the next guy, whoever the next guy was at that point. Might have been Herm Edwards, it might have been whoever. But I don't recall. This could be the magnitude of that, where the Patriots got the guy that everybody should have been wanting to get. And the Jets got Aaron Glenn, and everybody else goes on with. And could Aaron Glenn be a good coach? Maybe. I don't know. I can't say that there's a chance that could be better, but he's starting. He had one whole year to waste everybody's time with whatever they were doing with coordinators and everything else. You're starting over fresh next year, brand new. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, and you know me about this. If they trade 2 first-round draft picks to move up 2 spots to get Fernando Mendoza, I'm throwing my laptop through the window during the draft. Okay. Because that's how stupid that would be at this point. There's so many.
They got to get a free agent quarterback. I think they need to. I know they swung and missed with Aaron Rodgers, but they've got to evaluate what's out there. The guys that are there are definitely not the answer, and I think that's a big part of it.
If you named off the stupidest teams in the NFL from
Jets are at the top. They are the gold
standard. Jets are way up there, but Cincinnati's not far behind them. They've had some better runs here and there, but they're stupid as hell. They don't know what they're doing either, right?
Cheap, dude.
And they're stupid as can be. The Raiders are now becoming a part of that whole stupidity as well. You know what I mean? So there's some teams out there that they're just stupid, right? All right. So if I'm in the room with the other stupid guy, I'm walking up to him and saying, "Hey, stupid Cincinnati guy, I'm the Jets. I got 5 first-round draft picks. How many of those do you need so I get Joe Burrow off your hands?"
I love it.
I mean, so if you're not going to get more,
and it appeals, and John, it appeals to them because you know what? Draft picks are what? They're cheap, and the Bengals will be in heaven because they won't have to pay. They already paid Burrow, and they paid Higgins, and they paid Gerard Chase.
Yep.
It's
Higgins and Chase won't be there together next year either, so they'll follow Joe Burrow. There's a lot of things you can do that make it. You got a decent offensive line, whatever, but this whole thing is like you got to undo your stupidity, okay? Yes. And you're gonna have what happens when you have 5 first-round draft picks? You fall in love with a player who's a 3rd-round draft pick, and you take him at number 11 overall because you have another one you can waste, okay? That
would be so Jets. It would be so Jets, John. Oh, don't even go there. Don't put that idea in their head, okay?
Oh, it's already in their head. It's probably engraved on the wall. They read it every day. Let's do something stupid in the draft. That's what they do, and it's unfortunate that they could actually. It's just hard to say this. They could do nothing and be better than what they're going to do. They could just do nothing. Because what they're going to do is going to be worse. They got sold on the idea they had. I will say this: the best thing they did do, the season be gone, was get rid of Sauce Gardner and get her Quinn Williams. And I know there's probably Jet fans up north and everywhere saying, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me! Where are they? Where's Quinn Williams right
They're
now?
both on IR.
Both
and you
on
got
the
the
IR,
picks.
right?
And you got the picks.
And we got the picks.
That's one of the smartest things that organization did, to be honest with you. Now they got to follow it up. Either package the picks and get yourself a first-rate quarterback, or you're just going to have to hit a home run on all of them. And unfortunately, I wouldn't, as a Jets fan, I wouldn't have the confidence that you could do that.
Team that shares a stadium with them, the New York Giants, right?
Yeah.
You got Jackson Dart. You got him in the draft last year. Okay. How many games did he play this year? 6, 7?
Nice 6, 7. Good job. I would say I want to say he played, because he keeps running his head into the freaking turf and he's out with a concussion.
You're now what they're now what 3-13 the Giants are?
Yes, with their victory on Sunday over the Raiders, they slaughtered them, by the way.
Right. And they took themselves out of the first pick. They don't need it because they're not going to get a quarterback, whatever their feelings are.
Right.
But the idea is that the Giants and Jets are the same team right now, as far as the record shows you. Okay. Mm-hmm. New coaches are on the way, obviously, and this is whatever's going to happen with the Giants, whoever they get. Aaron Glenn's a new coach. And so you look at that and you say, look at those guys. Are they any closer to being better with Jackson Dart next year? I don't know because they will.
And I'll tell you why. Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterbo. Those two guys are out. They're going to be back next year. I think they're set up a little better than you are.
Right. So I say this is why I say to you, but there's going to be a year or two's worth of growth for Dart. You're going to do all stuff. If you do the Burrow thing, okay, get Garrett Wilson back, who didn't play the whole hell last year.
Big for you. Yes.
Re-sign Breece Hall. He's a great running back. You see him; he gets 14 carries, 112 yards, 100 whatever he does. They don't want to give him the ball for whatever reason. And then you go out and get a couple free agents and get some, and then spend those draft picks properly. You're in good shape. You're at least on paper you are. But again, those are things that we don't do as the New York Jets.
Yeah, it's sad. All right. We talked about Patriots can get the 1 seed if they win their game against Miami, which is up here in the elements. And Denver loses to the Chargers, which is certainly a possibility. I mean, Denver is a 1 seed. That's about the least scary a 1 seed as I've seen. And they're not exactly closing. They're not exactly closing things in a gallop. Broncos.
No,
I like that.
No.
They got lost, and they didn't just lose. They got smacked around by Jacksonville, and then on Christmas night they just mucked it up with a Kansas City team that's playing a bunch of JV guys, and they had to score 2 minutes left to win that game. Denver needs to get it together. Maybe it's better they don't get the bye.
I think you're right. Again, Bo Nix, a lot of experience in college, played 90 games in college and whatever he did. And so, and Sean Payton has been steering him. It's almost like he has him on like he's a drone. He can move him around, do what he wants with him, and the kid's coachable. When you look at Denver, the record shows that they are the number 1 seed and they have won some games. But man, there's some games they could easily be 9 and 7 right now.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So it's just going to see how that all plays out. But good coaching can always prevail, and it's going to be about the matchup they get as well. They're going to match up better against certain teams than against other teams. Like I would tell you that if you line them up, whoever wins the NFC North, that's a matchup I could see Denver having.
AFC North,
AFC North. Could I see that? Could I see like them coming out and playing Buffalo and having a better? Yep. Put Buffalo and Denver. I think that could be a game where they could be outcoached. Again, I I'm not a big fan. I'm not Josh Allen detractor, but I'm also not a McDermott guy either.
Right.
What I see on the field and what I hear about him in the locker room and some of the things he said and done, I think he's a knucklehead. But again, I don't really, that's he's successful, so you got to give him tip your cap to that. So Denver's going to be a matchup scenario for them. If they get the right matchup, home games are going to be something. Again, I hear what you're saying, but boy, it's never mile high since I can remember when Craig Morton brought the Denver Broncos out of obscurity and they had to get Mile High
against the Raiders.
Mile High has been so hard to win for a lot of teams that it's going to be cold as heck. You're talking about altitude. There's a lot of things that go into that.
Well, if it's cold in the east, it usually means it's warm out west. The Jacksonville Denver game was a game that was played in the 60s, and that gave Jacksonville a little bit of an advantage, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
So we talked all about pretty much all the scenarios. In the NFC, Green Bay is locked in as the 7. They can't go up, they can't go down. They are in, and they will play whoever the 2 seed is. Right now, that would be the Bears in an epic third matchup, although will Jordan Love be ready to play? That's a big question.
I think that the Bears, I think we watched the Bears pass the Packers, pass the Lions, pass the Vikings.
Yes.
I mean,
they're clearly the division champ. Yep.
But I'm saying, like, I'm talking into the future.
Yeah. Because
now the Packers, I think I give them a little bit more of an edge. I'm afraid the Lions might have had their window, and
might have slammed shut. I'm with you.
I don't like the way it looks in Detroit. It looks like you lost your car keys. You're not sure, or or there's something that happened.
Oh, now, John, you walked right into that pun. The Fords lost the car keys. Very good, John. Very, very good.
I think about these things, but you have this. There's a situation where you look at Goff. There's just something that's not quite right. The players are still on the field. They're not being moved in the right positions, and things aren't happening real like they did a couple years ago.
They need to draft defense, and then when they're done, they need to draft some more defense.
I think that's part of the deal. Like I said, and I do think it's hard to replace two coordinators.
Yes,
that were that
both,
good.
By the way, are having success.
Aaron Glenn.
I think Aaron Glenn. I think he's going to be. I'm sold on Aaron Glenn. Somehow he's going to have to trump Woody Johnson, but I think he's got a shot. And listen, Ben Johnson is right there with Liam Cohen. To me, those are the two guys that are going to be the final candidates for Coach of the Year, and you could split hairs.
Yeah, I'll say this. What I like about Ben Johnson is that he didn't take no crap from anybody when he first got
including his quarterback. He got his quarterback in line. Everybody thought that was going to fail, and Caleb Williams now is the guy. Well, I love his long ball. Man, he throws a beautiful pass downfield.
Look, he made a move last night where he juked out 2 guys. I'm like, what in the hell was that? Purdy did the same thing, by the way, but the Bears team, you look at it, they had an O-line. They've had an O-line for a while there. And they had some pieces, and boy, now you're seeing those pieces getting moved in the right directions. And now you look at the Bears and you say to yourself, that it would not surprise me. And it would not surprise me if the Bears made it to the Super Bowl at all. It would not surprise me one bit. With pedigree teams above, with the Rams, the Niners, the Eagles, those teams in particular, that I think that it would not surprise me to see the Bears beat them and get to the Super Bowl.
All right. So the Seattle-San Francisco winner, that's the second Saturday night game. The Seattle-San Francisco winner is now going to win the division. The Rams, even though they've got a game tonight and a game next week, can do no better than 5th. So, and I think it's interesting. I look at the Bears. They've obviously had the lucky rabbit foot a lot of the year, no question about it, winning so many games when you're losing with 2 minutes to go. But I don't think it would be a terrible thing if the Rams have to go to San Francisco, the Bears have to go to San Francisco or even Seattle. I just think the way Caleb Williams plays, I think they might be better on the road They'd be able to use their passing game more because you can get conditions in Chicago that are brutal.
Crazy, right? Yeah. Crazy win. We saw go back to 85 or whatever when Sean Landeta, the ball
dropped
blew off his, right off his foot, never even got close. So yeah, you can get some weather, and you're right. But I think the thing about Caleb Williams is that every game he gets a little better as a field general. He was an athletic quarterback, but he looks good in the pocket. Comparison. So Lamar has the same kind of Lamar Jackson, the same kind of thing. But Caleb looks way better in the pocket than Lamar does.
Yeah.
And I think
I think Ben Johnson. And that's why I think Ben Johnson will edge out Liam Cohen. I know they both have number 1 overall picks in Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams, but I think the year 1 to year 2 progression with Caleb and the fact that, like you said, he's taken no shit from Caleb. He basically, from the beginning of spring and summer practice, has been on him, and I think it's worked wonders. I think in Chicago.
Right. I totally agree, 100%.
And as far as all 3 AFC wildcard teams, well, Houston could still win the division, but it's Houston, the Chargers, and Buffalo. And the teams above them, you got New England, very young. You got Denver. We already talked about them. This could be one of the wildest. It wouldn't surprise me to see a 6 seed versus a 6 seed in the Super Bowl. It would not surprise me at all.
Look at the wild card teams.
Yeah, everybody's going to win at least 11 games except for Green Bay.
If you asked anybody if you name those 3 teams and the teams that won the divisions, you'd be like, what? Denver? Not even Kansas City. Denver is ahead of them. Then you have the Patriots with Buffalo, and then you've got Jacksonville with Houston. You think that would have been flipped. So I think that's what I said about the Bears going to Super Bowl. I didn't say win because the AFC team that comes out, I don't know how you beat the AFC this year.
We're loaded.
I think it's tough. I think it's going to be real tough. All the NFC teams have a wart or two on them, I would say. But nonetheless, the winner of that AFC playoff tournament, that's a winner. That's a winner right there.
All right. Interesting. You can actually, I know you're not a gambling guy, but you can actually go and take the AFC. There's already a spread.
Yeah.
And you could take the AFC and, from the sounds of what you think, you think the AFC representative is going to end up winning.
I do. And even with Philly beating Buffalo yesterday, wasn't surprised by that at all. I thought it was.
No, you said they would kill him. I believe your lock of the week was they were going to kill them.
But I think that but I thought that there was a little bit of conservative play calling in the second half, hoping that nothing would happen. Yeah, it was terrible conditions. Terrible conditions.
Yeah,
I think they would have loved to have snow. No doubt about it. They would have loved to have snow instead of rain.
Yeah. Interesting call by McDermott at the end of the game. Your kicker's had his 1 extra point blocked. He's your 3rd kicker. You're shaking your head no. You would have tried the kick?
Yeah. I think there's
I would too, but a lot of people have come out and said today how you can't trust the kicker. Well, then you need to get another kicker on the roster. Right. I don't care who he is.
Right.
Go to the local high school and try him out.
But the thing is that, Philly's defense is really damn good.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I thought at the end of that game, I don't know. That just didn't. I didn't think Buffalo was going to score. I really didn't. And they were living in Josh Allen's head yesterday, living in his head. And I'm like, I thought if they score, I would have taken my chances in overtime and maybe hope for.
Me too, because Philly's defense was on the field the entirety of the second half, and the offense had like 19 yards in the second half.
Well, and it was going to be a field position situation as well. I thought there was going to be something along those lines, and you had the momentum because you showed you could move the ball a little bit. Going for a 2-point conversion, I know that it's sort of a coin flip. I don't know the exact percentages on that. Just didn't like it. It just seemed like you didn't trust your team in that situation. And
I didn't trust his kicker. He came right out and said it. He didn't trust his kicker.
Well, again, that's tough then. I guess it's tough luck, but that's what happens.
Well, the guy was open. That's the other thing. Josh Allen just flat out missed him.
Yeah.
And I just think he was exhausted. It would, again, I know you talk about this a lot, but really they didn't have anything going yesterday, John. He thought he had to put on the cape, and he did everything he could, but when it came to the last play, he just couldn't make the play.
They kept him in the pocket that last play, knowing full well that he was not going to stand there for 5 seconds and wait to throw the football. Either he was going to throw it right away or run. And when he knew he couldn't run, he made a crappy throw. And that's what happens with him.
And how bad is he injured? That's the other thing. I mean, they talked about it a lot during the game, that his mobility was definitely compromised. All right, what a week, and what a final week we got in the NFL, and the playoffs are going to be they're going to be epic. It's going to be a freaking lot of fun. 941 Sports Zone brought to you by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. Locally owned, nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing and for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257. 941-251-4257. Let's start integrating some other sports, because before you know it, we're not going to have any football to talk about other than off-season stuff. The Tampa Bay Lightning continue to do really good things. They won their 4th straight yesterday. Did blow a 4-1 lead in the third period. Gave up the tying goal with 4 seconds left. But they did end up beating Montreal in a shootout 5-4. They jumped into second place over the Canadiens in the Atlantic, 47 points, 2 points behind Detroit, who has actually played 2 more games. John Cooper, I've said it 100 times. He's the best coach in this town. It's not even close. And I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves. What he's doing with this year's team is nothing short of amazing. He didn't have Vasilevsky for 6 or 7 games.
Edmund's been out.
The Stars have been out. And yet here they are right at the top of the division.
I love, the building of this team, has been just a thing of beauty to watch. Transitioning guys in and out, getting guys. And by the way, I don't think I've ever heard, maybe Stamkos was upset about his jettisoned being out of there, but They all are. They love the organization.
Yeah,
they want to play for them.
Yep.
You've got
they signed free agents in Florida.
Right, exactly. And you watch the building of the team, the lines they build, what they do. The goaltending is obviously that's generational, how good he is. It's just like you watch it and you see the games and that there's going to be that they can turn it on. I love the fact they got Gord back. Kucherov is Kucherov. Point is an unbelievable playmaker. He's unbelievable. And you can't be loaded everywhere. I know defensively sometimes they're a little shaky here and there. But they got rid of some guys that they needed to get rid of, and they got rid of character guys that weren't really playing up to where they wanted them to. Yeah. They're
made some tough decisions. The Stamkos decision was tough. Yeah,
I think they're back for a long run in the playoffs. I really believe that, and that Cooper knows how to get in there, and it's a really cool thing to watch. That team, and I will say this. The fan base in Tampa for hockey, they know it. You hear like, they're not educated hockey fans like people in Boston and Montreal, blah, blah, blah. Right. No, I think that they are. I don't think as many of them, but they know. They know. They go to those games and they watch it. There's no doubt that the Lightning fan base understands what they have is special, and they show out in goals because of it.
And on Saturday, John, another edition of the Bloodbath. The folks in Toronto would love Toronto and Ottawa. They try to fabricate these rivalries. Florida and Tampa Bay hate each other. No fabrication. They've met in the playoffs several times. The Lightning, the first 3 years of the decade to the Stanley Cup Finals. Florida, the last 3 years of the decade to the Stanley Cup Finals. And every time they play, it's a bloodbath.
106 penalty minutes last game. Yeah.
And that was with fights in the third period. If those fights were in the first period, you would have seen 200 or 300 penalty minutes.
Right. And so, and that's, and again, people talk about fighting in hockey. People don't realize that they're walking around with weapons in their hands.
Yep.
It's like a baseball player running around the bases with a bat in his hand.
Yep.
So, and the speed of the game is another thing, and the size of the players. An ice rink, well, at least to me, when I go to the games, it looks small.
Yeah, well, it's only
compared to what
200 feet.
Yeah.
It's only 200 feet.
And you watch these guys coming down and they're all on skates that are 9 feet tall. They're going 1,000 miles an hour. They got a stick in their hands. It's an unbelievable sport. And so the fighting side of it, I understand. You almost have to have that pressure release or whatever it may be, because if you don't, you see what happened back in the day when you had guys getting swinging sticks at each other's heads and stuff like that, because they couldn't fight. It didn't come out because they wanted to get viewership in the late 60s. So they said, everybody go and fight each other. The fight was because you're not going to board my guy into the, or break his neck or do something stupid to him. And your goalie had no mask on back in the day and had to protect him too. So, but the idea of it is that way. And the idea that a rivalry can have that type of intensity is what it is.
Every time they play.
That needs to be, you need to have that pressure release. I buy into that 100%.
And like I said, the folks in Toronto would love, one of the original six or two of the original six to have a rivalry like that. And they just, they can't even fabricate it. I mean, this is just good old fashioned hate. And the fact that the Eastern Conference champion the last 6 years has come from the state of Florida has to just eat at the craw of Rangers and Bruins.
Yep.
And I'm in Boston. I know the Bruins fans. They're just like, we can't freaking beat them. They just and it is that both teams play a physical. Lightning were a little more skilled team. Florida just plays a physical game, and then in a 7-game series that just wears you out.
Yep, it does. It definitely does. In the 80s, end of the 70s into the 80s, you had the Islander dynasty, and you
Canadian
had
dynasty,
the Edmonton Oiler dynasty, right? And
Yes,
so you look at those dynasties as they were, and you say, they had some unbelievable skill guys, right? Gretzky, and if you're knowing the Islanders back in the day, you had the Potvin brothers, right?
Bossy,
Mike Bossy was 60 goals a year, stood in the net from the net and just took a beating his whole life. By the way, I wasn't a fan of the Islanders. I'm a Rangers guy, but still,
I know you are. I was an Islander fan growing up, but listen,
but those teams, for as skilled as they were tough ass teams, man. They didn't take nothing from nobody. Messier he wasn't on the skill line. That was Gretzky and the Finnish guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
They were different. Messier's was the penalty killer, and he was the tough guy.
Yeah, well, he was one of the tough guys. Craig McTavish is the guy I remember.
Right,
he was the guy. You don't mess with Messier or I mean, you don't mess with Gretzky or Messier because you're going to deal with him. Islanders, same thing. Trottier and Bossy were two parts of that one line. Clark Gillies was the muscle. He was the absolute muscle, and that's the way they built those teams. And you see it now a little bit too. The teams that are successful build it the same way. It's a fun game to watch, and when your teams are good, like they are, the fans just need to appreciate it. They just really do, and they do. The fact that there's 19,204 every night at Amalie Arena, whether it's the San Jose Sharks or the Florida Panthers, tells you exactly what you need to know.
Right. They're again, I'll go back. They're an educated fan base. They're not just coming out to watch the game. They're not front runners. They understand the sport. They understand the game. The
nuance. There's a lot of nuance in hockey, and they understand it.
Right. There's no doubt.
Tampa Bay heads out west for the New Year. They're going to play Anaheim on New Year's Eve, 1:00 Anaheim time. Then they're going to play the Kings on New Year's Day, and they're going to play San Jose Saturday at 4. So the Lightning and Buccaneers are going to go up against each other, and when the Bucs game becomes 24-7 Carolina in the second quarter, I'll be doing the old flip over to here. Yep, flipping over to the Lightning game. All right, locks of the week. Both of us won. I had San Francisco last Monday night. Boy, they seem to be a wagon. They're clicking on all cylinders. They look like a scary team in the NFC. And you had Philadelphia killing Buffalo. They killed them by 1. Really, for the first 3 quarters, though, they killed them. They for 55 minutes, the Bills did not score. And I was listening to one of their podcasts. It's been a long time since they went a home game without scoring for 55 minutes.
I don't see very many teams that Buffalo matches up against in the playoffs that I think that is a good matchup for them. Maybe Jacksonville. Maybe.
And they may get them.
And so, because everybody else, there's something about them. It's either their home field advantage or their defense that does not match up well for Buffalo. Cook is a great running back. By the way, a high school phenom who got lost in the shuffle somehow in Georgia. Never understood that. Because Dalvin Cook is his brother, and he decided he decided to he didn't go to Florida State like his brother did. He went up to Georgia, and an underutilized player, and he's a fresh running back in the NFL, and he's got the skills to catch the ball in the backfield. So there's a weapon right there. But when you have to worry like that Buffalo's offense doesn't work without Dalton Kincaid, or whoever it may be.
Yeah, their wide receivers, they got to address.
They have no receivers. If that's your best guy, man, I understand why Allen has to run sometimes. I do understand it. But so you look at that situation, the right defensive coach, the right team, they're just going to – I think they're going to get swallowed up in the playoffs, that's why I thought Philly would do that to them. And they did for 3+ quarters, and then boom, they almost got caught.
Yeah. So both of us are 8-6 on our locks of the week. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I already broke a golden rule. What's my golden rule of gambling? Don't bet for or against the team you root for.
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
Carolina money line. Coach Peacock, I said it. Carolina money line. I've already put my money down. I just think the season's gone. They're lost. They're done. I think Carolina comes into Tampa and wins, and I'm not sure it's a close game. I really don't think it is. And the mojo that was there when I was in the stands, when they beat San Francisco, albeit with a backup quarterback, but Mac Jones played very well. Walked out of that stadium 5-1. Delusions of grandeur. I've never been to San Francisco or Santa Clara or wherever the hell the stadium is out there. Can I scrape pennies to get? Yeah, whatever. It's over. I'm Carolina money line.
All right, so this is very funny because we don't talk about this. This is no script. Okay, nothing is scripted here. Just
you already told me what your lock was.
Oh, I know that, but I'm gonna give you a second one because I thought.
Oh, look at that bonus lock!
Bonus lock, okay? Because I do have my lock of the week is Miami, right? Mm-hmm. But I wanted because I have sports. There's irony in sports. Mm-hmm. Things happen. You can't write stories that play out in real time in sports in general. So, Rich, I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to go the exact opposite. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this football.
Wow!
Because it's just stupid enough to happen.
Oh, here it is.
It's just stupid enough to happen.
Okay. All right. Well, here I have
$1
from the movie Trading Places. Yeah. I am Mortimer, and I have the $1.
You're on. I got it.
Beautiful.
Because here's what I say. Why I say it for. It's just one of those things where sometimes the ball bounces your way. Certain things happen. Tampa Bay has played very, very tight. Todd Bowles has coached.
Totally agree. They play tight and they've coached tight.
And now you got nothing to lose. Okay. Now it's come down to this. You've gotten lucky enough to be in a shitty division. You're lucky enough to play a team that's on the rise, but not maybe they're all together there on the road for the game. And
no. It's in Tampa, John.
No, I'm saying that Carolina's on the road. Yeah, Carolina on the road. And it sounds weird, but I just think for some reason in my mind, I'm like, the Bucs are going to win the game and they're going to get destroyed in the playoffs. Well, but they're going to make the playoffs.
If the first Rams game was 34-7, what's this one going to be? If they do manage to win.
Right.
Because I think the Rams will end up being the 5 seed.
Yeah, no doubt.
They've got Atlanta and Arizona.
So bonus pick, Bucs win.
Okay. All right. So we got our $1. Mortimer.
$1.
$1. All right, time for what's bugging me. There are so many things bugging me. It's not even funny.
Go for it.
You know what? I'm going to start. I'm going to go first.
Go for it. Absolutely.
Because I'm always making the which way do I want to go or what have you. what's bugging me is, and it's weird, and I'm going to go back to hockey. We have the outdoor stadium series this year, or the indoor outdoor stadium series.
Right.
Do you know who plays in the? Well, it was New Year's Day, and I guess they're made a business decision to put this game on January 2nd with all the bowl games on New Year's and the quarterfinals.
Miami,
I don't have a problem with that, but do you know? Because I know you're not a huge hockey guy. Do you know where
it's in Miami?
It's in. Look at you.
Yeah.
It's and I love the opponent too. The fact that it's the Rangers, I think that's great. I think it's
sure.
Rangers.
You're going to get a fan base to watch the game. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, they can't even get half of the arena filled there, even after winning 2 cups and going to 3 finals.
But the blue shirts are going to be there, so they'll watch the game, I'm sure.
That's right. So it's the stadium series in Miami. You know, this is already where everybody's like, "Oh my God, how is this possibly going to work?" Well, they had it in LA a couple of years ago, and if it can happen in LA, it's going to happen here. I mean, listen, the technology is such that they'll take care of it. It's going to be a night game, which is smart. I think, you got to play that game at night. And of course, in February, they're going to play a game at Raymond James Stadium as well. The Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're going to turn they're going to turn the stadium at Raymond James into an ice rink. That's more interesting to me because that's true outdoors. At least they can control the climate a little bit in Miami by keeping the roof closed. But it just bugs me that, the stadium series, I don't think the NHL puts enough into that. I really don't. I think it's a great idea to get new fans. I would never go to a game. I got to be honest with you.
Right.
Why do I want to watch a game from another zip code?
Right. Exactly.
Hockey is about intimate settings.
Right there. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying.
And these two settings, and I mean, Marlins Park's not that big. It only seats 36,000, but let's face it, the sight lines are going to be, what they're going to be what they are.
Right.
So it bugs me that they don't. When this first came out, I thought it was a great idea. It was played on New Year's Day. It was played in cold weather climates, and now we're doing it in Florida. And I'm a Florida guy. I love the fact that they're going to try it down there, but it needs to get back up north. I think they played one year at Yankee Stadium, didn't they, or was it Citi Field? I can't remember.
I want to say it was Yankee Stadium.
I think you're right. It was Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's bugging me. And if that's all that's bugging me on this final week of 2025, it's not all that bad. John, what's bugging you?
In my mind is sort of this. It's sort of stupid, I guess you would say, but
there's nothing
that has any sort of meat to it. But you watched again. I'm a channel surfer when I watch TV. I just can't help myself. And
so you're not going to cut the cord anytime soon, are you? Because you can't channel surf.
And I can't help myself. I got to check what's on. It seems to me that since the beginning of the college football playoffs started, that the ESPN, one of their 9 networks, is showing the 30 for 30 for the U every day on a loop. The U is what happened with the U is on all the time. Now I'm picking Miami to win, but please, you've got 1,000,000 30 for 30s you can fill time with.
Where's the Tim Tebow one, by the way?
What's I know?
Where's the Tim Tebow one? You don't think that would be interesting?
Of course it would be, but they are. I don't know what they're so enamored with whatever happened with the U and whatever, and maybe I don't know the numbers. Maybe it's the most watched one of all time. I have no idea. Who knows? But the idea is that I am so tired. I mean, this is not just this year. It's constantly. It's the U. It's the U. It's the U. My goodness, please put something else on from your 30 to 30 I know there's 30 for 30s that are fantastic. I don't see them. They're great pieces of entertainment. The U is worn out. The U, enough. That happened. Great. Play it once in a while. That can't be the only college thing you have during college football playoffs.
Well, they have the Catholics versus convicts, which of course involves the U.
The U. And I get it. There's personality plus guys on those teams, Hall of Famers, college Hall of Famers, you name it.
Yep.
And they made a name for themselves. But please give me a break with that stuff. Enough is enough. Give me something else to watch when I'm home for vacation, but for 10 minutes and not be the U. So yeah, sick of that. No more U. Put him out for a little while. Give me something else.
All right. I like that one. Again, I want to check in with ESPN. How's the Tim Tebow one coming along? And I'm not a Florida fan, but I would love to see that. The greatest press conference ever, in my opinion, was after the Mississippi State game, when he basically sat at that podium and said, "We ain't losing again.
Right.
That's on me, and we're not losing again." And I loved it.
That level of intensity he didn't change that level of intensity until the season was over. And that's what that's not to start another conversation, but I get asked a lot, and it happened just not long ago. I was at a party and somebody asked me this not long ago: who's the best quarterback ever at University of Florida? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. I said, it's categorized in a certain way, okay? Because the best football player was Tim Tebow, okay? The best quarterback was Danny Werfel.
You think so? Wow.
But the best Gator of all time, the guy is Steve Spurrier. Okay. So you look at it from those perspectives. And why do I say Werfel as a quarterback? When you watch Danny Werfel play, he could do things he read defenses flawlessly. He led players. He didn't throw bombs. He threw them different in spots of the field. It was artistry. It was unbelievable. And he learned from the guy that had passion for the game. Tim Tebow was a football player. Okay. And he did what he did. If it was 1 inch, he was going to get the 1 inch. If it was a pass that needed to be made, he could make the pass. Okay. Right. If you asked him to go play inside linebacker, he would have.
Yep.
Okay. So he was a football player. I think that's why his teammates respected him. Because if he was just a quarterback, they may not have respected him as much as they respect him as a football player. And he was a football player. So that's a quick sidebar in the Gators. So that's always my answer. That's always my answer to everybody. That's
interesting.
That's how you put it in there.
I was mocking Werfel, and you actually think he's the best quarterback. And how can I argue? I mean, he was Steve Spurrier on the field. He really was. He was
a guy who was composed, a guy who really bought into it. He didn't
have a great arm.
No. And again, it wasn't going to make it in the NFL. We know that. Okay. But Jeff George could throw it pretty far, but he wasn't much of a success either.
You know what I mean? So, head.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. But that's the thing, is you don't have to be a great college player. Doesn't always translate to being a great pro player. So that's where that works. And I think Fernando Mendoza is that guy. I think he's a great college player, but maybe not a good football player, a pro player. There's my dollar.
There it is.
Getting it.
That's right. I'll send it. Right, that'll do it for this edition of the 941 Sports Zone. Somehow, John, we ran incredibly long with only college and pro football and a little hockey to talk about.
A lot to talk about there, Rich, because it's all coming down to the crescendo.
And you know what? We'll do this again next year. How's that?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. 3 more
days.
Right.
We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Oh, God.
We'll have the quarterfinals will be in the books, and the semifinals matchups will be set. The college football playoff, they kind of draw this thing out, in my opinion. I don't like the from the conference championship games to round 1 to the quarterfinals takes a month. They gotta condense that a little bit, in my opinion.
There's a lot of things, Rich, that the NCAA, or I shouldn't say college football, let's say, I don't want to use that in particular, have to tighten up, from the portal to the NIL money being spent to coaching changes.
Right. Thanks for bringing up the portal. The portal actually opens on the second.
So
for everybody else's, how many people could be left? There was 72 coaches that left, and all those players can go in the portal.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So there's a lot of things that need to be sort of tidied up a little bit.
No question.
It may take more time than we think it does to happen, but they'll get it right. There's just too many. There's too much money. Well, that's the first and foremost to mess it up.
Imagine that.
I think the fans themselves will force the issue as to get done. All these issues to get taken care of.
Can only hope so.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it. We are done. We're back next week. Like I said, New Year's games. We'll have all the NFL wild card matchups. It's going to be a big show next week. Hope you can take the time to join us again. YouTube, Facebook, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe. I forget to say this all the time. Like and subscribe, please.
No doubt.
We would certainly appreciate it. So for John, I ate too much. Masoni, I hear your couch is calling you again. I'm woke up for a nap to do this, so is what it is. We will be back next week. Until then, so long, everybody.
Bye-bye.